What is up, my feeding frenzies? I am here with a deck profile. So, what we're going to be using today is our vampire deck, and this is what I'm going to be focusing on. So, to get it started here, I want to say that this is a budget deck. This is by no means a super expensive deck, by no means some top tier that's going to get you to the top ranks. At least, I don't think so. It could very well get you there. This is a very budgety deck, very cheap. It's completely focused on token generation as well as buffing your minions, and you do have a couple cards that will help you with removal and drawing. With that said, we start off with Legion's Landing. Legion's Landing, when it enters the battlefield, you create a 1/1 white creature token with lifelink. When you attack with 3 or more creatures, transform Legion Landing. And when you transform it, you tap it to pay 1 white mana, or you pay 3, and you create a 1/1 white vampire token with lifelink. Hugely useful in this deck, a deck that is completely focused around token generation and absolutely nothing more. It's going to be one of those cards that you only want to run one of, because it's not like core tier deck. But at the same time, when you do have it out, it's going to be very useful, and you're going to be happy you had it out. Our other card we're working with here, in the low-cost zone of 1, is we have Duress. Now, Duress, target creature reveals their hand, you choose a non-creature, non-land card from it, the player discards that card. So this is mostly useful when you are facing white decks or when you are facing blue decks, because they run a lot of removal in their hands. You're going to want to be able to view what that is, and you're going to want to be able to deal with that. Hold on here, our audio is cutting out. Play audio while minimized. That should do the trick. So when we have Martyr of Dusk here, our 2-drop, when Martyr of Dusk dies, creates a 1/1 white vampire token with lifelink. Once again, another token generation creature, as well as a creature itself. This is going to be very useful. It gives you board power. I like to use it early game mostly to suicide it, because when you suicide this card, it gives you the 1/1 with lifelink, and because your deck is going to be focused on boosting, you're going to be able to boost that 1/1 pretty easily. Which brings us over to Legion Lieutenant. Legion Lieutenant, 2-drop, other vampires you control get 1/1. This is one of the cards that is the bread and butter of this deck. This is going to be what pushes you to victory a lot of the time. You have 4 of them. It's going to be pretty easy to use, pretty easy to get going. You use it for Legion's Landing, use it for Martyr, and we'll get into another cards later of what I'll use it for as well. Then we have Cast Down, destroy target non-land legendary creature, self-explanatory. You're not going to be facing a lot of big legendaries or anything like that, so using this will benefit you in the long run. It's also very cheap. And then once again, we have another token generation, which is Queen's Commission. This entire deck, you'll notice, is completely token generation. Radiant Destiny. This is another very important card in the deck. I do only run one of it, just because of the type of card it is. Radiant Destiny Ascend. As Radiant Destiny enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Creatures you control a chosen type get +1/+1. As long as you have the City's Blessing, they also gain Vigilance. So if at any point you reach 10 permanents on board, you will gain the City's Blessing, and you will get this Ascend effect. It's very easy to reach in a deck that is completely focused around generating tokens, as well as lands count towards that too, so it'll be easy for you to get that out. And then having Vigilance, that's also very insane, because if you're having a board full of tokens that are buffed and you hit face with those or whatever else, you destroy minions but yours survive, you're going to want that Vigilance. That means that they won't tap, so that you can block with them when they come to attack you. Also, choosing the vampire type, that means that you get to have any vampire you enter the board that enters the board from now on get +1/+1, as well as the ones you have already out on board have +1/+1. Then we have Arterial Flow, 3 cost, bit of a steep cost, but the effect pays off. Each opponent discards 2 cards. If you control a vampire, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. Now, we don't run more than one of these because we don't really need it. This is more so like if you get it in the early game and you force them to discard a couple of cards, it's going to let you push for that victory even sooner. I like to combo it with Duress. You get 1 Duress out there, you get to view what they have, then you set out Arterial Flow. This way you get to keep an eye on what they have and maybe force some of their crucial removals because they'll know you see their hand. Mortify, destroy target creature or enchantment. Now, there are a couple cards that you're going to have to deal with, likely if you're facing blue or if you're facing white, that are going to be able to exile your cards, and specifically ones that are going to be able to exile a specific card. So if they exile, say, Legion Lieutenant, you can't set any more Legion Lieutenants out. But being able to deal with that with Mortify is going to help you tremendously. Move over to our 4-drops. We have Sanctum Seeker, an insane card. Because of how many tokens we generate in this deck, if you generate a board full of, say, even 6, there they go. They're losing 6 health without you even having to hit face. So if they don't block all those 1/1 tokens, for example, from your generation, they're going to take 6 from that. Then they're going to lose 1 life for each hit from Sanctum Seeker. If you have 2 Sanctum Seekers out on board, that's them losing 2 life plus the initial damage for each one that's attacking. It's a lot of damage and a lot of health gained. Twilight's Prophet, you mostly want to wait until you have the City's Blessing to use this. The big benefit to using Twilight's Prophet is you get to reveal the top card of your library and put it into your hand. Now, you do reveal it, yeah, but in this deck, that doesn't really matter too much. But then they lose health and you gain life. Those are the benefits of it. Well, there's also the trade-off of revealing the card. Alenda, a mythic that we do only run 1 of, but it's still worth it. Lifelink, whenever another creature dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Alenda the Dusk Rose. When Alenda dies, create X 1/1 white tokens with lifelink where X is Alenda's power. This card is honestly crazy. It's not often that they're going to remove this card because, I mean, it is only a 1/1 and they're going to want to deal with your heavy hitters, but it also is something that is a threat on the board and that they should be dealing with. Most of the time, you're going to be able to get this and turn it into something crazy. Conclave Tribunal is one of the exile cards that I was talking about. When it enters the battlefield, exile target non-land permanent an opponent controls until it leaves the battlefield. And then you get Convoke, which, I mean, you can tap your own creatures to pay for this rather than using lands if you'd like. Call to the Feast. Now, this is the cream of the crop. This is one of the best cards in the deck. A 4-cost that summons 3 1/1 white vampire tokens. Now, if you have Radiant Destiny out, and if you have Legion Lieutenant out, if you have any of these crazy cards out, hell, even if you only have Sanctum Seeker out, that still turns these all into 6 damage creatures in total. Next we have Ajani Wise Counselor. It's a 5-drop, but the effect on it you can use immediately. You can either choose to gain 1 life for each creature you control, or creatures you control get +2/+2 until end of turn. That right there, if you've managed to set up a board full of tokens, which most of the time you will, because people don't want to remove 1/1 tokens, because I don't know what the problem is, but I've not had many people try to deal with that stuff unless if I'm versus a red aggro deck. Buff all of your tokens, and you're pushing for crazy amounts of damage and healing for crazy amounts of damage. It's well worth it to have at least 1 Ajani in the deck. Then we have Revival. Pretty self-explanatory on Revival. You return target creature with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the hand, or to the battlefield. This is mostly good for when Legion gets removed or when Sanctum gets removed. You're going to be able to push for that extra, or rather, it can't work on Sanctum, so it's primarily used for Legion rather. It's mostly used when that type of thing gets removed, and if you end up using up all of your legions throughout the game, then you'll be able to keep this on hand and bring that back. Revenge is also in there as a one of, since it's a dual card. Double your life total, target opponent loses half their life, rounded up. So this Revenge is used as a one-turn kill type of thing. If you can manage to flood your board, get them buffed, if you can manage to push for that crazy amounts of damage, you throw Revenge out there surprisingly, and you're pushing for victory right then. It's easy. You get your tokens, you get your buffs, you have a Sanctum Seeker or two on board, or you have a Twilight's Prophet, whatever you really need out there. The amount of damage that you're going to be pushing is going to be unstoppable. Then for lands, we run our standard lands. There's nothing special in here. Most special thing is probably Isolated Chapel, and just the battlefield tap unless you control a plains or swamp. This deck overall very cheap. We run I believe we run 4 total mythics, and the rest are primarily uncommons. We do have a couple rares in here, but for the most part, it's uncommons and commons. It's a budget deck, but it's an effective budget deck. It's a worthwhile budget deck, and I can guarantee if you try this and you get used to it, you will climb your ranks. I'm going to be posting a video, I don't know when, probably in a couple days after this video is posted, showing you how to play the deck in depth. We're going to do a couple of ranked matches with it so you can see what it's like, and you can form your own opinion off that, whether you want to use the deck or not. Really hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you enjoyed the deck profile. If you did, please subscribe. Click that bell button. You know the drill. Tune in next time.